My name is Michael Weiss. I'm a researcher at the Center for Whale Research, where I am actually the research director. I'm also a postdoc here at the University of Exeter, where I study killer whales very broadly, but I mostly work on the life history and behavior of the southern resident killer whales off the coast of Washington and British Columbia. Yeah, so killer whales around the world have some pretty different social structures, but what they seem to have in common is what we call matrilineal structure. What that means is that whales kind of tend to stay with their moms and with their mom's close maternal relatives. The southern resident killer whales are actually really unique in the kind of degree of this matrilineal social structure. So both males and females stay with their mother for their entire life. And that forms groups we call matrilines, which are sets of closely related whales that basically spend all of their time together. And those matrilines form larger groups, which we call pods, which are sets of distantly related matrilines. And the southern resident community has three pods, which we call J, K, and L pod. Through some later research, in the early 2010s, we actually found that these mothers keep their sons alive even well into adulthood. So when an adult male's mom dies, he has a much higher chance of dying in the years following that, indicating that she's actually helping to keep him alive. From that finding, there was some further research that started to kind of show how they might be helping. One of the ways is they actually directly share food with their sons throughout their life. They share food with their daughters as well, but this kind of tends to taper off as the daughter reaches the age of sexual maturity. Whereas for sons, we don't really see it end. As long as the mom's around and the son's around, the mom will probably be sharing food. They also provide leadership. So in years where there's not a lot of food to find, you'll find these older females at the front of the group a lot more often, and they're a lot more likely to be leading their sons around. So if you're a female killer whale, even under the best of circumstances, you can only have a calf maybe every 2 years because you have an 18-month gestation period. So you can't have a calf every year, and you probably aren't going to have a calf every other year. Male killer whales, on the other hand, have very little limits to the number of calves they can have in a year. It's really just how many receptive females they have access to. These males become much more successful the older they get. So it's the older males in the population who are having most of the kids. So as a female with a son, you can get a huge indirect fitness benefit by keeping him alive until he becomes one of the oldest whales in the population and can start having tons of calves. You get many more grand offspring that way than you would by just trying to have as many calves as you can individually have and hope they also have calves. The really basic way we track killer whales is through photo identification. So killer whales give us a really nice opportunity to track individuals throughout their lives because they are uniquely identifiable, each and every one of them. Their dorsal fins are different shapes. They have these distinct notches and scratches, and they have a marking right behind their dorsal fin called the saddle patch, which is this nice big gray marking, which is also unique to every individual killer whale. So just through natural markings, we can track individuals throughout their life. And the way we do that is by taking pictures. We don't want to just go out and say, oh, I think I saw this whale. We want to have photographic proof of who was present on each day and ultimately who was alive in each year and who had a calf. And that's been going on since the 70s. Whales have a huge home range, much larger than our study area. So we rely on sightings from shore, sightings from vessels, whale watching vessels, private vessels, and people call us or they post on the internet or they email us and say, hey, we have whales at this place at this time. We don't necessarily know who they are, but they're big group of killer whales. And then we very quickly go from our office, grab our radio, grab our equipment, go out to the boat, get on the boat, and rush out and hope we can catch them. It's a real kind of a fire department drill. We wait for the call and then it's go go go. one year I was out there for June and July, and I'd gone all June without any resident killer whales in our study area. It gets to July, and me and my partner say, you know what, we're going to go off island for 4th of July. It's going to be, all the tourists are coming in. It's going to be too busy on 4th of July. We're going to go off island. We're going to go down to Seattle or something and just be off island for 2 days. And we go down for the 4th of July. It's nice. We wake up on the 5th, which was supposed to be our second full day in Seattle. And at 7 a.m., I get a text message from another researcher who says, J-Pod's on the west side of San Juan Island. We woke up and they were there. So my very understanding partner let us get dressed very quickly and check out of our hotel early and drive up and get the earliest ferry we could. And we managed to get back on island in time. And the whole time I was just gripping my steering wheel, repeating the phrase, "These big fish have no power over me," which is a lie. But yeah, it's the being at the mercy of the whales, and they seem to have a good idea for how and when to make things inconvenient.